Chris Hayes interviewed Carter Page, who you mentioned earlier. Just watch this interaction. My takeaway is do not ever talk to Chris Hayes because he will just generally be nice at you until you actually say what the truth is. Go for it.
You are at the center of the news today. USA Today saying that you and an individual named J.D. Gorton, another advisor, met with Sergey Kislyak at the RNC in Cleveland. Is that true?
Well, you know, Chris, it's interesting because that one of those pieces from the Washington Post that you showed, it starts out with a discussion of a meeting that I participated in with Prime Minister Modi.
But you did, in fact, meet with Sergey Kislyak there.
I'm not talking about any meetings that I had there because I learned confidentiality rules when I served in the U.S. Navy, and I'm sticking with the commitment that I made to the organizers that I would be, keep it an off-the-record meeting. So I'm not going to talk about individual discussions or people I may or may not have met with. No meetings related to those issues, which were being brought out.
But I'm just asking you straight up, like, just for a straight answer, you're saying I can't confirm or deny. USA Today's reported it. You told one reporter I had no meetings with the Russians. Now you're telling me I had no meetings with the Russians about the things they were talking about. I'm just trying to get a straight answer. Like, did you meet Sergey Kislyak in Cleveland? Did you talk to him?
I'm not going to deny that I talked with him. Although
so you did talk to him.
I will say that I never met him anywhere outside of Cleveland. Let's just say that much.
The only time that you met him was in Cleveland.
That I may have met him possibly might have been in Cleveland.
I only met with the #1 spy for Russia in Washington, D.C. once in Cleveland. That makes it okay. As long as you just treason once, it's like the treason exception.
Carter Page is a giant liar. Carter Page undid his lie and then relied in the same interview. Like, that's how much of a liar he is. He was like, yeah, okay, I guess I met. I did not meet with him. No, I didn't, except for the time I met with him, I didn't meet with him.
Right.
Yeah, and good for Chris Hayes.
Great.
Like with those glasses and that hair, like you think he's just gonna be sweet.
Yeah, he is.
But he kept at it and he got something really revealing. And the revealing thing is that this is the kind of person, and Stephen Miller is the kind of person, and Corey Lewandowski is the kind of person, and Steve Bannon is the kind of person who were drawn to a lying narcissist fraud like Donald Trump. So it's not just that Trump is bad news, the people around him are bad news because normal people, even wildly conservative Republicans like Evan McMullin, who again, everyone in the Young Turks should follow, we don't agree about anything, right? But he believes in this country and he sees these guys and he knows they're bad news instinctively, and he says it every day. And he doesn't say, oh, well, today he did a good thing, so I'm with it. He's dangerous. Guys like Carter Page and Steve Bannon and Stephen Miller, who scares the crap out of me for some reason, Stephen Miller, that's why I always bring him up, who works for Jeff Sessions, by the way, in the Senate. I hope I have that right. These guys, there's something wrong with them. And if you see that interview with Carter Page and you don't think there's something wrong with that guy, and that Trump thought, I'm gonna make this guy a foreign policy advisor, yeah, because no sane foreign policy advisor is gonna stand with Trump. But this guy did.
And Carter Page went to Moscow to give a speech, right? Where during the campaign, where he's talking about and meeting with people and business leaders and financial leaders in Moscow during the campaign. And they were like, no, don't do that during the campaign. And then somebody from the campaign was like, no, it's okay. Go ahead, go over there, talk to them. Go to Moscow and talk with financial and business leaders in Moscow during the campaign that you work on, and then they're like, oh, well, we're releasing you from the campaign. Oh, you never worked for the campaign. Whereas now we obviously see from Carter Page, he did work for the campaign. He did meet with the ambassador, who is a spy master, and he was over in Moscow talking about making a deal for economic sanctions for this oil deal in the Arctic. We don't know.
He runs a big energy company that does business only in Russia and Central Asia.
You don't have. We're not peeling back layers. That's the thing. It's so.
It's one layer. Oh, right.
Yeah, and he's given speeches about here's the reason that sanctions don't work. We should repeal sanctions, and then what he has is 1 foot in a meeting on advisory committee for the Trump campaign, and 1 foot, literally 2 feet in Russia. And he just has to pass forward back and forth information, just like Michael Flynn did, essentially saying, listen, we're gonna be good with you because we are going to be the folks in the room who are saying roll back sanctions.
And by the way, please, that list I gave of the people who go work for Donald Trump, add Mike Flynn. That's the kind of guy.
Yeah, but am I dumb? Because we keep talking about people, not the actual not the actual events that transpired. We're slamming all these people and their personalities, but we're not sticking to what actually happened. I mean, explain it to me. Like, what is wrong with an unpaid policy advisor talking to Russia and Trump? I don't understand.
So why is Michael Flynn fired? He's fired because he goes and says, when Donald Trump gets elected, right, and we're working to get him elected, if he gets elected, we'll remove the economic sanctions. That gives you $500 billion to a petrol state whose economy functions on oil.
That's not Carter Page, though.
That was Michael Flynn. Michael Flynn does that, okay? He says, we'll remove the economic sanctions, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, help us get our boy Trump elected. That's what's wrong. It's a quid pro quo. It's classic politics, man. You help us get elected, we'll get rid of those sanctions and save your country's economy.
No, this is, but
no,
I
it's
got
everywhere.
No, we need to investigate it. It needs,
it needs to be investigated.
Right, it needs to be, but come on, man. First of all, why are you hiring Carter Page? He's a lunatic. And Michael Flynn, why are you?
Also, the specific reason why he's not confirming or denying, like his weird linguistic backflips, are because he needs to protect the integrity of something he explains elsewhere in that interview, where it is a conference where they set up ambassadors and representatives of oligarchs to just have secret meetings. Like, that's why, and he wants to get invited back. He says as much in that meeting. And from a 10,000-foot view, I think the more we have folks who represent big groups of people, the population of the normal folks, the more we have them represented, and the less we have the representative of someone who's showing up and handing over money and favors in return for other favors, like that's a bad thing, and that's what we should be trying to root out. What, to your point specifically, like, it feels like the Hydra. Like, you cut off one head, who are they gonna replace it with? Not my choice.
But because this is nothing new. I mean, this is just always backdoor channels, and now you can find out about it.
This is new.
Treason is new. I mean, since Benedict Arnold, like we haven't had treason of this level.
We're saying that it's new, but I mean, I'm just trying to stick to this actual thing and not bring other stuff in. Like, if he didn't have anybody trying to understand Russia and then went into foreign policy issues, we would all be saying, look, he didn't even get any counsel. He could at least had somebody talking to him.
So hire Condoleezza Rice.
But then again, we're talking about people.
But that makes the case. That makes the case.
Who the person
Why
is?
does everyone in his administration have really strong ties to Russia? I mean, they know a lot about Russia. They've done a lot of work in Russia.
We said
Paul
that,
Manafort, his former campaign manager, essentially his day job is like achieving the foreign policy objectives of the Russian Federation.
Right.
They know a lot about people in Russia. They know dick about any other country anywhere in the world except the ones they want to bomb. Okay. So why is that? You make my point for me. Why is everyone in the Trump administration know so much about Russia, have so many connections to Russia, know so many people in Russia?
Because they did that intentionally.
Because Russia did that intentionally. Right. Putin picked Trump because it's good for Russia, not because he's gonna make America great.
Yes,
and that's
but what
a big
the hell does that have to do with Carter Page in this exact incident?
Because he's part of the problem.
Right.
He was the guy making the deal with
Carter Page, Mike Flynn, and Paul Manafort were the guy, and those were the guys making the deal. Those were the guys doing the deal.
Help us get Trump elected. We'll get rid of the sanctions, and you'll get $500 billion in oil. You were at the pipeline, man. I know you don't want them to dig up that oil in the Arctic.
I don't, but I'm not talking about that guy. Okay. I'm talking about former Trump advisor Carter Page also met with Russian
Carter
envoy.
Page's job is to go over to Russia and to make oil deals in Russia. He helped with the deal where they set up a company in the Caribbean between the Russian government and ExxonMobil to get the permits to drill in the Arctic.
And then
this
weirdly,
is known information.
The head of ExxonMobil became Secretary of State.
I don't think that's weird at all. It's taking out the middleman.
And then tried to make it the initiative that he had to try to make it more difficult to trace money given by his apparatus, which is like him saying, listen, the way you get stuff done in Russia is to identify the oligarch in charge and pay them with a bribe. And like that's where it's at.
Is that not what we did in Panama?
No, it is.
Like, I don't understand.
Was that wrong?
Yes, but
okay, so is this wrong?
But that's an action. What I'm trying to say is that we are looking at people who are doing nothing new, and if we focus on the actions, then we can fix the things for next time. Because when you focus on people, we end up thinking we can chop the head off, they put a new person in and something will change. But if we don't focus on the methodologies and the institutions, then we will be totally missing the point.
The reason we're focused on this is because Russian interference in our election is the key to impeaching Donald Trump.
That's right.
It will happen, whether it's a year or 2 years.
I don't know if that's a good thing or not.
No, it is a great thing. And trust me, I'm from Indiana originally, okay? I know Mike Pence, and I know he's a total dirtbag of a politician, okay? I'm fully well aware. I have people in my community and my family that are still affected by that man, right? But he's not gonna launch one of those 7,000 nuclear weapons because somebody tweeted at him the wrong way at 3 a.m. Nobody has to give Donald Trump permission to do that. It is an existential threat, and this is the key to removing that existential threat. Think order of operations, man.
That's just
We're gonna
conjecture, though.
Yeah.
It's conjecture that he would do something. We don't have evidence of that.
Well,
the evidence, the smoking gun will be a mushroom cloud, my friend.
Support independent media and get the whole Young Turks 2-hour show and other network shows all ad-free. TYTnetwork.com/join. Come join us today.